Hello everyone, welcome to the best place for the best takes. I'm Benjamin Cure. This is the Benjamin Cure Show. I don't know how you guys felt over the weekend, but to me, NFL Week 10 felt like the proving Benjamin Cure right week. Almost everything that I've said on this show was put on display for the world to see. I've talked about it during the offseason. I've talked about it throughout the season. Everything I have said came to fruition and was just the writing's on the wall at this point. I want to start with the big dogs, the Chiefs and the Bills. I've talked about this throughout the season on purpose. I've been almost documenting the journey week by week of why I think the Chiefs are better than the Bills come postseason time. And a lot of people think I'm crazy, and you are in your right to think so, but I have proved once again why I am right. The Bills, when they face true contenders, have these stretches where they just fall off a cliff. In terms of performance, in terms of confidence, and play calling. And I know that the Bills have an elite quarterback in Josh Allen. And I know that the Chiefs have an elite quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. And they are both going to rely on their quarterbacks, each one respectively, to get the job done. Because you'd want to put the game on the shoulders of the best player on the team. I understand that. But for some reason to me, when I watch, it feels like the Bills are putting this unmanageable load on Josh Allen. And I was thinking about this over the weekend, considering it once again. The Bills and the Chiefs are pretty similar. Overall, if you're taking like a very surface level look at them, both teams have elite quarterbacks. Both teams have great head coaches. Both teams are loaded with talent. But the Bills do this thing where I think it's the play calling and I think it's the coaching. It feels like in order for the Bills to ever come back or for them to have a lead or for them to even win a game, it relies on Josh Allen. Josh Allen to have these magical moments, downfield, big plays. It's always him on third down. He rushed on a 3rd and 11 by himself. What that tells me is he an incredible playmaker? Absolutely. But he doesn't have faith in his roster. He doesn't have faith in the guys around him. He thinks, I know he's not a selfish player. You can tell he's not. He's a team guy. But for some reason, he feels like the weight is on his shoulders, like he has to win the game, like he can't rely on anybody else. In those moments when he needs someone, it's like he reverts back to himself. He has the most faith in himself, which I understand is a key attribute, a key characteristic. You want your quarterback to feel that way, but not to that extreme. Josh Allen doesn't feel like he has enough people around him or the right cast if you're seeing him make big plays like that. Rushing for it by himself on 3rd and 11. Making those big downfield throws late in the game. He feels like he has the weight of the world on him. And for those who are concerned about the picks, I assume this will eventually calm down. Historically, take a look at quarterbacks like Josh Allen. Big guys with big arms. They like to play hero ball. And I know we don't like to talk about hero ball because I almost think it has a negative connotation to it, like that player wants to be the hero almost selfishly. I don't think that of Josh Allen. But you see guys like Josh Allen historically, big guys, big arms, they want to play hero ball. They want to throw the ball downfield. And I think Brian Daboll was so key in weathering that storm, in calming Josh Allen down. Josh Allen in college, he showed you what he was. We all knew what he was coming into the league. A player that had massive potential, that could make big plays happen, but could also lose you the game. And I think that's something that Brian Daboll did such a good job of coaching and mentoring. That's why we talk about Josh Allen as one of the best quarterbacks in the league today, if not the best, depending on who you're talking to. But that control, that patience, that just overall calmness has kind of eradicated the building since Brian Daboll left. Sometimes silence is the loudest noise in the room, and sometimes absence is the most notable thing in the room. Brian Daboll is no longer with the Bills. He's now the head coach of the Giants, and he's doing an excellent job, and he is getting the most out of Daniel Jones. Could it be that we've seen the best or the peak performance of Josh Allen under Brian Daboll? Is he going to get any better? Because he's an amazing talent. We know what he's capable of. But the things that aren't intangibles, that you do need to coach, that you do need to refine, Brian Daboll's not there anymore. He's not having those quarterback one-on-one conversations with Josh Allen. He's not telling him, hey, complete the reads. It's going to be there. You don't have that calming, I'm trying to look for the word. You don't have that, I guess calming is the right word. You don't have that calming force or that calming voice in your head telling you, hey, it's going to be fine. Brian Daboll is one of those coaches that you can see the coaching. He has his footprint all over, he has his fingerprints all over the Giants' wins. You can tell it is him who is scheming and game planning them to those wins. For Josh Allen, it feels like he's on his own. Sean McDermott, great head coach, sure, but he's a defensive guy in an offensive-driven league. And I know I talk about this, and I've been wrong in the past when I talk about guys like Pete Carroll, who I don't believe are going to succeed, and sure enough are proving me wrong. There is still a place for defensive head coaches in the NFL in today's game. There always will be, I'd assume. It would be too extreme to the other side of the pendulum if it didn't. But I think that Josh Allen really loved the presence of Brian Daboll, that calming force, that force that helped him weather the storm, that would help him just stay focused on the task at hand. Hey, Josh, make those reads. Take the easy throws sometimes. Sometimes the best decision is one that's right in front of you. The check down. Dan Orlovsky was talking about this on Get Up and on First Take. Sometimes the best decision is also the easiest one. You don't have to throw the ball downfield. You don't have to make those risky throws. You can still win the game being Josh Allen without making those mistakes. And I think there's nobody there right now in the Bills locker room, in the Bills facility in Buffalo that can really tame Josh Allen and help him concentrate and just, calm him down. I keep on saying that word, calm him down, but it is the most appropriate word. Somebody needs to tell him, take a big, deep breath, Josh. You are one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Stop forcing this downfield. The game will come to you. You are one of the best guys on the field, if not the best, at any given moment in time. And I feel like that's where Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes are exponentially better than Josh Allen, Sean McDermott. Because Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, never feels like he's doing too much. Andy Reid is an elite coach, but he's also an offensive coach. He schemes guys open. He gets creative. He uses motion. You don't see that kind of creativity and that scheming with Sean McDermott, a defensive head coach. It's not there. And maybe it was enough when Brian Daboll was still with the team because you had a great defense that was being coached by a guy like Sean McDermott, and you had the offensive leader, Josh Allen, being coached by one of the best in the business, as we've come to find out, Brian Daboll. But that doesn't exist anymore. Brian Daboll is not with the team. He's not coming back. Same thing I said about the Packers and about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is not coming back. Brian Daboll is not coming back to the Bills. They have got to figure it out. They have got to calm down Josh Allen and bring back that calming influence on him. That influence that tells him how to weather the storm, how to keep calm. Because when it comes to the Chiefs, you see these moments where Patrick Mahomes makes these incredible plays, but once again, he also has the coaching to make the right read. Patrick Mahomes will make the most insane movements, scramble in the pocket, roll out to the left and right, just for it to be a 1 or 2 yard play. And it ends up being enough because you don't have to risk the entire game or risk the drive or risk the possession on any given play. Sometimes the best decision is the one that's right in front of you. And I think the Bills really lack in that department. Lacking coaching. It shows. Big mistakes. Josh Allen has lost them their games. Is it an indictment on him? Yes, kind of. Especially over the course of the last 3 weeks when the last 3 losses are because of your fault. I'm talking about Josh Allen right now. But coaching has something to do with it too. And I never feel like, as great as Patrick Mahomes is, that the Chiefs are relying on him to win the whole damn game on that given play. But the Bills, it feels like time and time again, every possession, every big play, every fourth quarter, the stadium is holding their breath with all eyes on Josh Allen, and that's not a healthy pressure, and it's not smart either. You don't want the defense to know, hey, we shut down Josh Allen, we take away his run game, or we take away his pass game, game's over. You want to be a little bit diverse in your ability to attack downfield and use the run game. And, the Chiefs don't have a great run game either. They've been trying to figure stuff out with CEH and Pacheco, and they haven't been able to. They don't have Kareem Hunt like they did a couple years back. They struggle when it comes to establishing the run game just as much as the Bills do. The difference is Andy Reid schemes things. He's a great coach. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid together open things up downfield in the short game, the check down, whatever it may be. The Bills always feel like they're relying on Josh Allen to not hit the home run, to hit the grand slam on every single drive. And it's why, come postseason time, the Chiefs are better than the Bills. I've said it all season long. You have continued to doubt me, and I'm right once again. Week 10 proves it. If you like to play the odds, you know the phrase, the house doesn't lose. And Vegas proved why once again. They favored Tom Brady and the Bucs by over 3.5 against the Seahawks. And sure enough, they were right. It's not an indictment against the Seahawks. They are by no stretch of the imagination frauds or a fluke. They are a good team, and they are very competitive. This, to me, is more of a sign of how dominant the Bucs can be when they're firing on all cylinders. Tom Brady, in the first game, the first NFL game in Germany, in the big moment, proved once again why he is that guy, why he is not going anywhere. And while a lot of people talked about how he was hitting that cliff, it's not a cliff. It's just a rough patch. And he reestablished that for everybody watching. To me, Tom Brady, over the past couple weeks, has looked amazing. And I don't talk about the personal life stuff. I don't like to. But the fact of the matter is, you've all seen the memes and you know the headlines. There's something to be said about Tom Brady going home, doing his routine, doing the TB12 method, eating when he wants to, going to sleep when he wants to, focusing 110% on himself and on his regimen and on football, rather than wearing the hat of, some of the things that he was wearing the hat of. Being a parent, being a husband. And I don't want to dive into it too much because, of course, he is still a parent. He is still active in his kids' life, we'd assume. He still has a good relationship, according to him, with his ex-wife now, Gisele Bundchen. But to me, he looks so much better, so much more focused right now, and it's undeniable. And the team has really found their rhythm. Talking about the on-field stuff now, the Bucs are firing on all cylinders. Coaching looks better. They are resorting to the play-action stuff, which is where Brady succeeds. They're doing a good job of establishing the run game, finally, which they hadn't been doing well earlier in the season. Those are the things that will lose you games. If you can't establish a run game, if you can't complete on third down, and you can't convert, if you can't get your defense going, if you can't stop the run game, teams will run you out of the building, quite literally. You will lose those games. And they did. They had a rough patch to start the season, and a lot of people thought that was it. But there's a reason why you can never count the Bucs out, and situationally, why they shouldn't have been counted out. They're in a bad division. They are in a winnable division. You're dealing with the Saints, the Panthers, the Falcons. I mean, they could very easily end up with a 9-8 record and win that division. So not all is lost, and it never was, even when they looked at their worst and when there was no light at the end of the tunnel and when everybody was ready to throw Tom Brady under the bus. Now, I thought they were struggling. I didn't know how they'd come back from it. I was one of those that was concerned, but never did I think that it was going to be that bad for too much longer. Tom Brady was going to get things rolling, and right now, I dare say the Bucs are in a better spot going into this bye week than they were during their Super Bowl run when they went into the bye week. It seemed like in 2020 when they won the Super Bowl, hey, they were finally finding their rhythm, and they really got going after that bye week. Tom Brady's talked about it. That was the changing point. To me, they're in an even better situation now. They know they've got the right guys in the building. They know they have elite weapons. They know they can win a Super Bowl with the core that is there. They know they have good coaches. And also, they know, hey, we can encounter hardship and we can get out of it. Right now, they have won 2 games going into the bye week. They look fresher and stronger and more focused and quite frankly better than ever right now. And there's something to be said about a team that is firing on all cylinders that looks perfect. Because even with the turnovers, Tampa Bay looked really strong in that game against the Seahawks. In the big moment, there's nobody better to take than Tom Brady. He is going to perform lights out. It was the first game in NFL history in Germany. 60,000+ fans in that arena. It was insane. The environment was amazing. Tom Brady is always going to win and come out on top in an environment and in a game and in a situation like that. So to me, Bucs are in a better situation right now than they have ever been. They know what works. They know what doesn't. They've encountered adversity. They know how to overcome that. And they're doing everything right. They're establishing a run game. They're winning at the line of scrimmage. Tom Brady is doing good. The play calling is better. They've incorporated more play action, which is where Tom Brady succeeds and excels at. And the defense can finally stop the run. They proved that against one of the best running games in the NFL right now. We know what Kenneth Walker has been doing for the past couple of weeks in the NFL. He was running all over teams and some of the best rushing defenses out there as well. It's not like he was going against just any, bottom tier defense. He was rolling, and so was that offense. So for the Buccaneers defense, who has showed so many flaws over the course of the season, to establish themselves the way they have over the past 2 weeks and shut down Kenneth Walker the way they did this weekend, my God, it shows that the Bucs, when everything is going well, can really lock in and can be a very dangerous competitor. Because are the Philadelphia Eagles a better roster today? Absolutely. Are the Vikings? Yes. Are the Bills? Yes. Are the Chiefs? Yes. But if you're telling me one game to advance, one game to win it all in a postseason situation, in a playoff game, that's why I think the Bucs are one of the best teams out there. And why prior to the season starting, on my Ben's Best list, on my rankings, I said, at any given moment, the Bucs could be the number one team in the NFL because the guy that they have under center, Tom Brady, when he is rolling, the team is rolling. When he is confident, when he is excited, when he looks good, the rest of the team looks good as well. And right now, the Bucs are a dangerous team heading into a bye week. Everybody knows the worst thing you can give Tom Brady is more time and another bye week and just more opportunities and more moments to prepare. They are going to look really scary after this break, and they can definitely make a playoff run. There's no doubt in my mind. Even as someone from Miami, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Tua Tagovailoa has worked his way into the MVP conversation. There is no doubt. And the games that he missed actually might help his case. In every game that Tua has started and finished, the Dolphins are undefeated. And I know undefeated records and undefeated seasons are here for a good time, not a long time. They can come and go very quickly. But there is something to be said about Tua's ability to make the right decision, to make big plays, and ultimately his ability to win games. I love this about Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is one of those guys that everybody criticizes the ability of. You're not sure if he has it. He can win you the game. He can lose you the game. But at the end of the day, the winning percentage says it all. In a league where it is so hard to consistently win, a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy like Tua, their ability to win, their record is undisputed in my mind. You can't debate that. There is something to be said about a team who can win when it matters most. And right now, the Dolphins are doing just that. And to me, the Browns are actually the kind of team the Dolphins need to be really scared of, and that I was worried about going into the weekend. It's not a Super Bowl contending team. Doesn't shock you with the amount of talent that the roster has or their coaching. But they are a team that is historically gritty and hungry and is powerful and is going to try to beat you in the trenches. They're one of those teams that is tough. That's their reputation. You think of the Browns, you think of the Dogs, you think of Ohio, Cleveland. So to me, that's a team that could have been very problematic for a Miami Dolphins team that now I can kind of compare to the Kansas City Chiefs in the sense of they've got this finesse feel to them. This exuberant, this fancy, this kind of play to them that's like, we're not down in the dirt. That's not how we win. We win in a flashy way. To me, that's where the Miami Dolphins are right now in terms of culture. So a Browns team that is known for their toughness and their grit could have been very problematic for the Dolphins. And I was on the lookout for that this weekend. But the Dolphins showed you, hey, we can win in all given types of situations, and we can win big. They blew them out, and I understand it's the Browns who don't technically have their starting quarterback right now. But my God, are the Dolphins showing you we are a true contender. And they lead the AFC East. I would not have been, even as someone from Miami, I would not have believed if you would have told me week 10 in the NFL season, the Miami Dolphins are going to be winning the division over the Bills. I would have never believed it just because of how talented and how great the overall roster is for the Bills. But the Miami Dolphins right now are true contenders. Forget about wild card spot. They could very well end up winning this division. I understand the Bills are still a great team. I expect them to come back and start winning games. They're not going to lose forever. This losing streak is not going to continue, this bad patch for the Bills, especially not with a guy like Josh Allen under center. But the Miami Dolphins are in a great spot right now. They have an excellent head coach who has worked his way into the Coach of the Year conversation. To me, it's like 1A, 1B, Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll. I don't know who's going to get it, but Mike McDaniel is showing his football IQ. He schemes guys open. He's like Andy Reid. He is so creative with the play calling and his ability to draw up plays and draw up situations and get guys open that it's like, how can you stop this team? Very talented. And I will say, one of the things that I talked about in the offseason, the attributes that I thought made a good team were, do they have the guys in the right spots? Let's review right now the Miami Dolphins. Elite pass rusher and Bradley Chubb. Your closer, who they traded for at the deadline. That's a big move. Elite head coach who can scheme guys open, who is an offensive-minded head coach in the NFL in 2022 in an offense-driven league. What we come to learn, excellent quarterback. There's no denying it. Tua is the guy. I'm very happy for him. He is the right guy for the Miami Dolphins under center. To me, the only question is not ability, but durability. And that's honestly something that is subjective, but I do have questions about moving forward. We have had a couple scary moments with Tua in college, and now while he's building with the Miami Dolphins, how will that fare as time goes on? Nonetheless, going back, right guy at quarterback. Excellent weapons. In a weapons-driven league, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle catching passes, the fastest wide receiver duo in the NFL, that's insane. That is definitely up to par with what you're looking for. And what we've come to acknowledge, a great O-line and a good run game being established slowly but surely by Mike McDaniel. This team is very dangerous. And added an elite secondary. I mean, the Dolphins have all the right guys in the right spots. And while I don't love them over the Bills in a postseason situation, or over the Chiefs in a postseason situation, or over the Philadelphia Eagles, I think that's a great team. And I think the Dolphins really have something special going on. They could definitely be involved in the postseason picture. And I do see a reality now where they could win a playoff game. And that's something that I wasn't so certain about in August. They have proven a lot of people wrong, and I am very much here for it. Maybe the biggest discovery of NFL Week 10, Justin Fields is that guy for the Bears. I understand the Lions have a horrible defense who has been run on by pretty much every single team that they've played. They've allowed so many points and so many big plays. But Justin Fields is showing you he's getting 5% better every week. And for a guy who started the season, the first 3 games, barely scraping 100 passing yards, that's important, and that's signs of improvement. Justin Fields showing you, hey, even if I'm not throwing over 200 yards a game, I'm going to show you that my decision-making is getting better. I'm going to play to my strengths. I'm going to run if I see the opportunity to do so. He's young. Why not? That's what's going to win you games. And while they didn't win against the Lions, it was very much so, I think, a very promising game for the Bears, showing them Justin Fields is the right guy, and we're developing him correctly, and he is getting that much better every single week. I mean, to me, one of the biggest telltale signs of the game, I tweeted about this. I was live tweeting during the game. I was in shock watching it. Justin Fields shows you how he responds to adversity. Pick 6 to his former teammate, tough spot, it ends up tying up the game. So that's in the fourth quarter. Now on his next drive, on his next possession, he shows you, hey, I have composure. That moment's not going to get to me. Makes the right decision. I know it wasn't a passing play, which some people would love to have seen, but it was a big run. And if you have that running ability, why not use it? Why would you keep that to yourself? Justin Fields is an athlete, as pure as they come. Why not use that to your advantage? I understand people will complain, that's not how you win at quarterback. That's not how you win long term. You won't be able to do that in 5 or 10 years. Doesn't matter. Does 10 years down the line matter right now when you're trying to win a game in NFL Week 10 of 2022? No, it doesn't. 2027 doesn't matter right now. 2026 doesn't matter right now. They are doing what it takes to eventually win games, and they're doing what it takes to develop Justin Fields into that guy. And to me, he is proving to everybody, hey, I know that there's a stipulation around Ohio State guys, and there's this stigma that we are not good NFL quarterbacks. he's disproving that. He is showing that he can rise above it, that even in what I believe to be a very dysfunctional organization in the Bears, hey, I can round up the troops here, and I can find a way to win, and I can find a way to make big plays. That matters, and I think Justin Fields is having his coming out party right now, and he's showing you why he will be one of the best quarterbacks in the league in years to come. And I think it's a really exciting time for Chicago Bears fans, even if you're not winning games right now. You'll still have a great draft pick, too. I'm pretty sure they clinched the number 6 overall draft pick over the weekend. That's important stuff. That's building towards your future, and a future that seems very bright when just a couple weeks ago it seemed very bleak. As much as he was criticized, Jeff Saturday is a true leader of men, and he motivated the Colts to get a big win over what we are now learning, or at least know, is a very dysfunctional Raiders organization. So now the Raiders are in a tough spot. Situationally, we have learned a couple things about them. Number one, they are going to have to pick. The Raiders are going to have to pick between Josh McDaniels, their head coach, and Derek Carr, their quarterback. And what's funny is the writing's on the wall. Derek Carr may be playing in a different uniform this time next year. Because apparently, according to reports, Josh McDaniels was made reassurances by ownership that he will be with the team in 2023. And they're not talking about the new year, as in the playoffs, that he's going to stick around. They mean that he is going to be there next season. They're not doing away with him. They are not firing Josh McDaniels, which to me is a questionable move. If I had to stick with one, I'd probably stick with Derek Carr, because as underwhelming as some of you may think he is, as mediocre as some of you may think he is, I think he's a good quarterback, and there's definitely a market out there for him. He will have a job if he leaves the Raiders after the season. There's no doubt in my mind. But you're kind of in that situation now as the Raiders where you got to move off somebody. Someone has to take the blame for this loss. And I know we saw an emotional Derek Carr, and I know that that Josh McDaniels just got there, but someone has to take the blame. Someone's going to have to take the fall for these losses. And I think it's very interesting that they're going to end up picking Josh McDaniels over Derek Carr. Because Josh McDaniels, if we're being totally honest, it's kind of funny, isn't it? Tom Brady, after leaving New England, it seems like he was the reason that New England won. Maybe not early on. Maybe those were Bill Belichick's defenses and good play calling and, limiting Tom Brady's ability to lose them a game. But come on. Doesn't it look like Tom Brady was making everybody around them look that much better? Bill Belichick is below 500 without Tom Brady. He can't make it into the playoffs. He can't win a playoff game. He can't win games against teams above 500. It's ridiculous. And Josh McDaniels is proving, was he just a mediocre play caller who had the blessing of playing alongside excellence and having Tom Brady as his quarterback for all those years? It looks like it. One could make the argument that Josh McDaniels was carried his entire career by a very competent Patriots franchise and by the greatest quarterback that has ever played on an NFL field in Tom Brady. Because right now, Tom Brady has made everybody who he previously played with look mediocre, and it's an indictment on Josh McDaniels. And I know maybe it's not fair to Josh, who has moved on to a new role, but damn it, the writing's on the wall. He looks like a losing head coach. He cannot win close games. He blows leads whenever they do get him, and he's not, for a guy who's supposed to be an offensive-minded head coach, who was an offensive coordinator, he is doing awful with a very talented offense. Josh Jacobs, I know he's had so up and down years, but he's a good running back. Hunter Renfrow, an excellent number 2 wide receiver. Devontae Adams, arguably the best receiver in the game, certainly the best route runner in the game. Derek Carr, a good quarterback. Darren Waller, top 5, maybe even top 3 tight end when healthy. I mean, come on. What are you doing? Why can't you make this work? To me, this is an indictment on Josh McDaniels and why he should be the one to blame for the Raiders' losses. And I know they're dealing with injuries, and I know he just got there, and I know there's a lot of stuff going on in a very chaotic organization, but the writing's on the wall. Josh McDaniels could have very well been carried for years by Tom Brady. And it looks bad. Because you know what? As we're noticing later throughout years, Tom Brady makes the guys who he played with previously look really bad. And not purposefully, not by design. He is just that good. He elevates your team. So is it possible to think, hey, Tom Brady elevated Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator and made him look really good and is the real person who is responsible for those 5 championship rings that Josh McDaniels has, it's not that far-fetched. And today, I think Josh McDaniels is the one who should be fired. I don't like calling for people's jobs, but if we're picking somebody to part ways with here, Mark Davis, it's not Derek Carr. It's Josh McDaniels who has to go, who has to leave the building, who should not be welcomed back with open arms. Because for a team that is that talented, that invested so much in the offseason, this is an inexplicable and almost hideous and disgusting result this many weeks into the season. If I was Derek Carr, I'd be crying too. Because for the amount of talent and effort that those guys put in, this is ridiculous. And this should fall on Josh McDaniels, and he's the one who needs to take the blame for these losses. It's not anybody else's fault. With that, we wrap up this week's episode of the Benjamin Kier Show. Thank you so much for listening in, for tuning in, for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to listen back to some of the funnier or more comical clips or some of the better clips of the show, make sure to follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok. Those 3 platforms at Ben Kier Show have all the best stuff. Make sure to go and share those clips with your friends and just watch them back if you had a good time on this one. Once again, my name is Benjamin Kier. This is the Benjamin Kier Show. I'll see you next Monday.